Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to a new video. In this video I'm gonna show my game from round number 5. I was playing with the black pieces against a German guy with a rating of 2250. And the game started with a Sicilian defense, some closed Sicilian, anti-Sicilian with g3, and I took the center. Now he played d4, trying to create a pawn structure against an isolated pawn, because I cannot really avoid it. And yeah, I took here, gaining some activity. And here it's important to know that after bishop g5 you can actually play this, because after bishop f6 you can take the queen and the complications favor black. You can also play bishop e7, I think, but I chose to play knight c6. He actually didn't take on f6 but played queen to a4, and that was the first moment where I needed to think on my own. I just developed and tried to create a double pawn in case he castles long, but he decided to play knight e2. I renewed the threat, trying to take here double the pawns. Also if castles I can take on c3 first, doubling the pawns. For example, here he cannot take with the knight because it's pinned. And after something like this, I was thinking this is more or less okay. He has a weak king. I have only one weakness, and even if I lose it, he has doubled pawns in return, so that should be fine. However, he played bishop g2, after which I was first a bit struck by the idea, why does he allow his king to be held in the center? But actually he wants to untangle it afterwards and gain my pair of bishops, but I decided to ruin his structure and his king anyway. Okay, now I castled, which is logical enough, and now he threatened my pawn. And in the game I even thought I could play h6, setting a little trap. He cannot take here. Okay, I cannot take immediately, but always be aware of those little checks, unpinning, and the rook drops. So he would need to take there first, and even though he wins a pawn here, I might regain it. I might just create counterplay on the c file, and I thought this is more or less okay. But still I saw no need to give up the pawn and decided to start with queen e8, unpinning and threatening knight e4. That's why he went back with the bishop immediately. Here I have many moves, for example knight e4 maybe, queen e6, but I decided to go queen e5. Now he should have left center with the king, because on c3 there might be a fork attacking many pieces, and the king is one of them, so it makes sense to remove the king. However, he decided to play rook b1, threatening my pawn. And now if you want to challenge yourself, you can think about it. Do we need to protect the pawn, or can we go knight e4 anyway? So take your time and we will continue with the game. Continuation. I think there is no need to protect the pawn, because the active continuation is just very fine, and then we don't need to go passive. Now he really needs to take, because otherwise I will fork 4 pieces, and that's too much. So he took. Taking with the pawn is natural enough. He now has a lot of weakened light squares around his king, and with the knight and the queen I have great potential to attack. And it's almost impossible to prevent the queen from giving a check and then coming in. For example, if they try rook b5, I could go here, trying to get in here, which is maybe even stronger, because then my e4 pawn stays on the board because it's protected. So in the game he took. Check, king e1. Note that king d2, trying to run away, is not really working, because I have this check, takes, and queen here. And if rook f1, I have e3, he cannot take, and I think white is just lost, or in very bad shape. Here I regain the pawn, I have several threats, I have a pass pawn, and so on. That's why he played king to e1, knight e5. That was all part of the plan. And now I have some serious threats, especially knight f3 is the main idea. He took the pawn anyway, because with the pawn the knight is way more stable and white needs to get something in return for the weakened light square, so he took the material. Now I gave a check and he needs to go to f1. If he goes to e2, at a minimum I could play knight here, I thought, and if he goes g4, the only chance, because he needs to counterattack my queen, I can just take everything and I win the exchange in the end, which should be enough. So he went king f1, and now I first thought, okay, I will take here, he needs to go back, I will go there, and then I will see. Maybe I will include rook e8 here, or maybe I will give a check first and then include rook e8 with some ongoing attack. I didn't see anything entirely clear yet, but okay. I have the draw in my hands and I have several possibilities to continue. However, he surprised me a little bit when he played king g2, giving me the rook immediately, which is a mistake. I think this is quite easy for black, and now I could simply have continued with rook e8, hitting the queen, and it's very hard to suggest something. For example, something like this. I have several ideas coming in with the rook, which is just over for white. However, I decided to give a stupid check on h5, which allowed him to improve the king. Also, I'm no longer attacking the c2 pawn, and now it was already difficult. I played rook e8. Queen f3 I traded, and now it's still winning, but I needed to activate my rooks, and that's what I really misunderstood in the game. And if you want to challenge yourself, try to find the strongest move here, and we will continue with the solution, which is not easy at all, I think. Because the best move is rook b8, just ignoring this pawn. And the reason for this is that if he takes, I get the really active rooks. I might even take the a2 pawn, and my king will stop the c pawn. Even if it's very late, I will stop the c pawn with rook and king, and then I have an extra pawn on the other wing. And with no rooks, there are no dynamics for him, so it will be very static, and I can improve slowly. And this bishop, finally will be out of the game, and on the light squares he has no control. So rook b8 would be very active, and if he doesn't take the pawn, okay, then I might play rook c8 or something, and I have great activity. But I was too materialistic here, decided to play a6, holding on to the pawn. Note that I did not blunder the exchange due to rook b8, which was my plan, but he of course didn't go for it, but pushed his c pawn. And I tried to set up a blockade, but the problem was that I was too passive here. And even though it's a clear exchange up, I didn't find a plan, and it's not so easy. Computer is suggesting something like this, but it's not so easy, because h4 it's very committal, and if he picks up the pawn afterwards, it's very tricky. So I decided finally to sack back the exchange and seek my luck here, realizing that I spoiled my winning position. But there's some play left, even though he should reach the draw without difficulty. I think the easiest is rook b6. If I take c3, he will take the a6, so I should take this guy, and then maybe he will find counterplay here. I need to do something like this, but actually I think this rook is quite stuck because it needs to protect both, so it can never improve, and that's why I think I cannot really win this. There are several ways to draw. I'm not even close to winning, but after a couple of moves I thought I got a chance. Now I got a5 in, I got g4 in, and I'm a pawn up, but this is not the best pawn, so it's still a draw, of course. And he has many things he can play. I think even something like this is possible. Just waiting. I cannot really do a lot. Maybe I can give a check, but how to continue after that? However, he tried to force things with king e4, which is also a draw, but I have some tricks. One of them is that after h4, which I need to try, of course, I have this intermediate check, and now I have 2 pawns running. It's still a draw, but he needs to be accurate. In the game I thought this might be more critical, and when I run, he can kind of set some threats against my king. If I run this way, there is no way out. So I need to go back again. But as soon as I go too far away, he will have counterplay with this h5 move. And the key to understand here is that he has this saving maneuver, bringing the rook to g8. And now this pawn will make counterplay, and f4 is, yeah, just very slow. Yeah, here maybe even black needs to be careful. Of course, black has a safe draw in his hand, so yeah, black should not lose, of course, but that's a way for white to draw, and the key is activity, creating threats. In the game after king e3, here I thought, now I'm winning, but it was still not true. Black has easier play, but it's still a draw after this. I think if he went h5 here, because there is still this saving idea that the rook comes there and the h-pawn is creating counterplay. However, he gave a check, and now it's finally lost because I'm getting closer to the h-pawn. It's not a danger, and my pawns are very fast. And the game ended after this. And now I had this typical maneuver, bringing the rook over to g3, after which my pawn queens. And the game ended around here. So that was it. Got a winning position almost straight after the opening with this pawn sacrifice, then spoiled it, then won it again. So some ups and downs. I hope it was entertaining for you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.